Now, I would like to turn things over to Jordan, our next presenter from Triptomize. He is looking for help on PR, SEO, and travel industry expertise. Take it away, Jordan.
Good morning, everybody. I know it's kind of early, so I'm going to try to get this thing jump-started. So I'm going to ask you all a few questions first. Who here loves to travel? All right, pretty easy. Going one step forward, who here wishes that the travel planning process, booking flights, hotels, that whole thing, was quicker and easier to manage? All right, pretty good. And then lastly, who here wishes that they were properly educated and prepped on their trip, whether that's laws, language, culture, need-to-knows, safety, all that good stuff before they go on their trip? All right, pretty good response. So, like I said, I'm Jordan. I'm the co-founder of Triptomize, a faster, safer, smarter way to travel. Before I get started on the platform, I wanted to talk about the market opportunity. And basically, we're in the travel industry, obviously, but we found this sweet spot for where we can target, and it's that young professional, the 18 to 25-year-old that just got their first job, their first career, and kind of have that first week of PTO and want to go somewhere but don't know how to travel or how to research to travel. And so we kind of found this sweet spot that works for us. And so, and basically we want to make an impact early because we want to introduce this thing called conscious travel. So basically going into an area and not being a tourist but being a traveler. The problems that we fix and that our customers face is one, planning and organization, obviously. Hours of research on Kayak, Expedia, Hotels.com, all consolidated into minutes on our platform. Number two, personalization. So you could go through a group tour or some sort of travel package of some sort, but those are not very personalized. And number three, education and preparation. So this aspect is kind of our one of our differentiators. And so not a lot of Expedia, Kayak, and all that doesn't educate you or prepare you on your trip. You book it and you're just good to go. So the platform itself. So now that I talked about all that, we are building a AI-based mobile application that's replicating the service of a travel agent. And by doing that, we are asking the user a survey. They finish it within 3 to 7 minutes. And then out comes these proposals that you can book. And then from booking it, that information gets uploaded into the itinerary management software where you'll be able to manage all your flights, hotels, confirmation codes, things to do, etc. And finally, in another tab, you have the education aspect. So safety, weather, exchange rate, language, need-to-knows, culture, all that. So it is a saturated market. We do realize that. This has been tried to be done before, but what people tried to do before is, one, you got the do-it-your-own, kind of like Expedias, Kayaks. Then number two, you got the travel agents. And number three, you have, third-party services that help you. But the problem with all these is they take a lot of time. And so we're taking the frustration of time it takes to actually plan the trips. And believe it or not, so one thing for travel agents is when you talk to a travel agent, you don't actually talk to them about the planning. They actually hire a third-party company to do the research for them, and then they present you the idea. And so we're actually consolidating everything you would do and do your own planning as a travel agent, or Hello, Goodbye, and Jubal, and all those third-party services, and consolidating it into a couple minutes. Our business model. So we're a two-sided marketplace. On one side, we got obviously the suppliers, the hotels, the flights, the rental car services and visa services and insurance. On the other side, we have users. So we have our partners that we've already partnered with, professional groups, educational programs, and then as well as marketing methods, including digital marketing, publications, and all that. Our revenue streams, so we are free to the user, and that's going to be one of our huge differentiators because we realize that there's a need for better planning, but we don't need to make money off the user because we will be making booking commissions off the airlines and hotels and things like that. And we figured out how to optimize that. Along with that, we're going to be making money off big data. We already have some KPIs set up that we're going to be aggregating data for. Yelp-style business advertisements within the platform, you'll be able to book tours, things like that, and we'll have those kind of advertisements. And last but not least, we actually realize we're not an actual competitor, or we do compete with travel agents, but we could act as a complement to them, actually, by being a software-based solution or a tool for them to use so that they can better satisfy their customers. Partners, we've partnered with various organizations. We actually just closed one with M Carnival, the Ticketmaster of the Caribbean. And hopefully we're going to be in publications at the School of Social Sciences at UCI, along with other places along the coast. And then also an influencer affiliate program that I can dive into later, just not enough time. But we have partners with influencers within the United States, Spain, and Thailand right now. Our timeline looks, well, right now in this quarter, we're actually working on product development and testing, and we have been for the last 9 months. Moving forward, we want to launch by the end of this year, beginning of next year. And when we do, we're going to be looking for funding so that we can get into recruitment and dynamic product road mapping for the 2 features that will really differentiate us and help us scale that I have not mentioned. Our team, my name is Jordan. I'm a UCI graduate, Zot. My business partner and I, we've lived in 3 different continents, traveled to over 25 different countries. We've had these problems as our customers have had, and our team lists from AI experts to luxury travel agent experts, marketing, IP, full stack development, etc. And thank you. My name is Jordan. I'm the co-founder of Triptomize.
Okay, lather, rinse, repeat. We're actually going to do tabletop discussion first. Please go ahead, take a few minutes in your small groups. Think about these 3 things. How can Jordan figure out what to do for SEO? I know we have a few experts out here today. What are potential PR opportunities that he could be looking to exploit? And finally, does anybody have any access to travel industry subject matter experts? Please discuss, recaffeinate, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes. And come on over here to our first question. And here you go.
Good morning, Jordan. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
I think it's a very interesting company. My question is, you actually mentioned in your presentation that you don't necessarily see this as a competition to other travel agencies, but potentially as an ally. So have you considered, or is there a possibility in your blueprint of actually having this technology and infrastructure be a B2B by way of white labeling for various different either travel agencies or travel agents?
Yeah, so basically we're going to be providing, and this is not with our MVP obviously, but which we're in the process. We're in beta testing, alpha testing, and then we're going to be in beta testing by December. But basically we want to provide an API for travel agents, and actually more so than travel agents, there's like business-to-business travel companies. And I mean, they could be considered travel agents, but we're providing an API for them, and we're working on that as well, yes.
I've got 2 more comments over here, and then is there anybody on the other side of the room? You are going to be number 3. First one right here.
Hi, thanks for presenting. I'm Pat. I think it sounds like you guys have something, potentially very cool going on. You did a great job of kind of describing where the problem is. And then leaving the solution a bit open-ended enough that I think we could all kind of, plug in what works best for us. I did have some questions specifically about, the offerings on Triptomize. Will they be customizable, or will they be kind of like travel packages, but catered towards, that demographic you mentioned that wants to feel like they're getting unique experiences?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Thank you. We worked over that question for about 6 months. That was actually one of the harder problems that we faced, was being able to give a personalized recommendation of packages and be able to edit and customize certain aspects of it. And yes, there is that aspect. Once you get the proposal of the software, it will list the overview, the safety measure, and also in the second tab, there's the actual itinerary. In the third tab, there's prices and services. But on the second tab, when you go through, there's actually an edit button, a bright orange edit button. And what it will do is actually, if you click on one, you can see that first of all, we're trying to be transparent with our prices, since we're being user-friendly by being free for them. And so they could actually go in and check with other providers, hey, like they're not actually upcharging us, and these are the list of options that we looked at before presenting you with the best one. And so basically just bringing better design to the industry, because they throw a bunch of, it's the Netflix complex, they throw a bunch of stuff at you and hope you can do the best with it, so.
Very cool. Thanks for your answer. And then one more comment for PR opportunities. Sounds like you might have already pinged on it as far as going after influencers, but I think, you know, Instagram in particular, travel-based accounts. Like I know a lot of people that have gone on trips like all over the world just based on pictures they've seen on Instagram. You know, whether it's like Tulum or Bali or Thailand or whatever, you know, huge part of your demographic is looking for inspiration for travel from Instagram influencers. So,
Thank you, I appreciate that. And actually one thing I didn't include in the presentation and it's because we're not actually implementing it yet, is we figured out how to pay people for their pictures. And so if you don't have to be an influencer anymore, you could be a random person going to Hawaii with your significant other, and they could be posting pictures, and basically we create a link for them and they're able to make money off people that go and book through their link.
Next comment right here.
Hi Jordan, thanks for your presentation. So for your SEO strategy, it's all based on inbound links, right, and mastering the PageRank algorithm for Google. I think if you do a travel search right now, you're gonna get #1 Expedia, #2 Kayak, and like the list goes on. So you're gonna need a huge customer base in order to have a shot at being top SEO when you search for travel. So my question to you is, what is your customer acquisition cost, and how are you going to scale this platform up to even have a chance at being successful at SEO? And so, yeah, that's my question.
As of right now, we don't have specifics for the customer acquisition cost because we're still like learning about, or we're still not learning, but doing the beta testing and all that. But basically our overhead's virtually nothing right now. The only thing that's taking cost is software, and I actually do design. So I design and prototype this thing out. We've literally just hired developers to build out the product, but then my business partner and I will be handling the customer service and customer success that we're going to be providing. But other than that, we don't need too many people on board right at the beginning because we're trying to optimize the market. Basically, we're trying to cut down costs to a very minimum so that we don't have to charge our user. And so,
How will you get more users?
oh, okay, yeah, part 2 of the question. So as of right now, this is just the engine, okay? So part 2 to that, and what I didn't explain in my presentation because I only have 6 minutes, is because 1, we're doing like I said, we're paying people for their pictures. We feel like with our influencer network, there's macro influencers who we're friends with, and then they have micro influencers underneath them, and there's this kind of trickle down effect. So we'll have a lot of reach that way. But number 2 is we actually figured out how to do collaborative travel, which is going to be our huge differentiator once we can get it on board. But basically, if you wanted to travel with your friends from like New York, Brazil, Belgium, Asia, anywhere, and you guys wanted to go on one trip together to Canada, I could put it together with this software in an instant. And so that's going to be our huge differentiator because not only does that work with friends, but it works with organizations and events. So think businesses, if they have different offices around the country, or if you're at an event that's like Coachella, then everybody's trying to figure out where to go and where to stay. And we actually figured out how to make it easy for people to do that and organize that, like the event organizers, so that none of the people get lost or, and this is especially for conferences, so.
Okay, we have another question over here. I do, as an FYI, it is just a couple minutes after 9. If you had an appointment, go ahead and leave. If you don't have an appointment, please go ahead and stay. I've got one more comment here. I will take one more after it, and then there's a couple of general service announcements. Chris, you've got the last comment, right next to the last right here.
Hey, Sam. So we spoke a little bit because you were sitting right next to me. But I told you I was always dreaming of a solution like that existing when I was planning my trips. So I traveled a lot for business and for personal. which led to a lot of people asking me for help to plan their trips wherever they're going. I'm also from Europe, so I could help them there. The first thing I noticed is their challenge is a lot more on what to do in what order and you know, what to prioritize in a short period of time than it was about booking. So my first question will be, have you considered that, or how are you going to solve that part? The other thing that surprised me is how big of a deal Instagrammability has become with young travelers. I mean, you're talking 35, maybe 30 and under. It's a big deal to say, I'm going to go to Paris, I want to find the most Instagrammable hotel and the most Instagrammable museum, and what is the best time to go visit the Eiffel Tower to post a super nice picture on Instagram, right? So as you plan those trips or those visits, is that something you're going to be able to take into account to appeal to your demographic, which is the young professionals, young travelers? And the last comment or things I wanted to share with you is, have you looked into 2 companies that have done something similar and they've pivoted probably 8 times before they eventually failed? I'm not saying you will. I hope you're successful because I need this. But those 2 companies are Utrip and Wayblazer. They went very far. They got millions of dollars in funding. They had customers. They monetized it, and eventually, I guess, found some challenges. I'm not sure what they are, but it may be a good lessons learned for you to not do those mistakes, and maybe timing will work a little better for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Sam. Those are all great things. I'm gonna start with the last thing first, just because that is the biggest issue with the market is what you said. They got a lot of money. They spent it all. What happened? We're going the opposite way. We're trying to, I mean, I used to use this as kind of an analogy was instant noodles. You know, they optimize, if you've ever seen an instant noodle factory before, it was very loose, but now if you see the trucks and everything, everything's down pinpoint so that the cost is at a minimum. And so what we're doing is actually minimizing cost exponentially compared to most travel agents and other services. And so we're not trying to burn through cash. But yeah, so to your point number 1, that was about the, I'm sorry.
The experience, so planning.
Yeah, the preference-based activities. Yeah, so basically there is a part to that, and that's actually on tab number 2. And so when you go to it, when you do our survey, which is about 3 to 7 minutes long, depending on the user, we actually ask for certain questions, and those questions will allow us to rank the activities in the restaurants in order based on your preferences. And so we actually do have that in the platform. And then number 2, the Instagrammable, like finding the best picture spots. You know, there's actually companies focusing on that right now. I forget the main one's name right off the top of my head, but I actually was thinking of reaching out to these people in some sort of partnership, but we haven't gotten that far yet. And that's like in and of itself an own industry now, I guess, because I have noticed a ton of people come out of that space.
Okay, last comment from Chris.
On the PR opportunity, when I was looking at the product and that, the things is like when I travel, I want to go to the city and I want to try to act like more like I live there. So we usually treat one event and then the rest of the day is kind of just sing around different places and that. Have you thought about, I forget the gentleman that made the books when he travels around and he makes the books of where to go and these just little small things. Like partnering with a brand like that a lot of people know would be a good way to kind of help leverage your brand by taking that content and maybe using that as a driver of these are really cool places. Like, okay, if I'm going to Bali, it basically takes that database of all these interesting things and it feeds that right into your feed. The other thing is this gentleman back here was saying about kind of planning as you go, your day and that, is it'd be really nice if I wanted to go to say the Louvre and then, or say the Tate Modern in London, next I want to see Big Ben. If it actually, I could say, okay, if I want to go see the Tate, and the Tate, it gives me, okay, you need 2 hours for that, and it's going to take you another hour. If it kind of built out my day as I'm actually going through and laying those things that I want to see. Because sometimes I'll list 3 things I'm going to do in a day, and it's completely unrealistic because traffic adds 2 hours to the time, and I didn't even know because I don't live in that city.
Yeah.
So if it could kind of build out like, oh, you can't do those 3 things because just time-wise it won't work out. If it kind of would have intelligence like that, that could actually build out your day, so you could plan it on the site itself.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Actually, we haven't thought of I mean, we've thought about it a little bit in terms of scheduling and things like that, but we also thought it was like a bigger problem to handle. But now that you mention it, maybe we could provide some sort of way to, I don't know if you guys used TripIt before. It's an itinerary management software, but basically we kind of saw what they were doing and thought we could do it better. And so they have like a very good software that they produced. But basically from what he's saying is what we could provide is probably some sort of push notification that allows you to maybe schedule things more appropriately based on certain factors. And yeah, that would be something great I think we could introduce in the future. Definitely a little bit harder problem to solve, but yeah, that's great. And then the first one was with PR. You were saying about, I'm sorry.
The book.
Oh yeah, the book. Thank you for that. We actually, somebody had mentioned that to us beginning like a year and a half ago when we just started doing research for this project. And it's actually, I mean, in a way, electronically, we're kind of doing that. We're taking a ton of APIs right now because we cannot handle all the data ourselves, obviously. And so what we're doing is pulling data from certain cultural type of websites and things like that. So maybe there is some more like, industry experts on that where we can partner with eventually. But right now it's a little difficult. But thank you, appreciate that.
Awesome job, Jordan. Thank you so much. Everybody give him a hand.